Hello and welcome to our favorite YouTube channel, Tampa Lifestyles. You have clicked on this button probably because you want some information on becoming a first-time home buyer. You have come to the right place. We will be happy to tell you all about it. We love working with first-time home buyers. I am here in sunny Florida. So most of what I'm going to talk about in these videos is about Florida. But quite honestly, the information is pretty generic throughout the entire country. So if you're in the US, this is probably going to work for 95% of the people out there. If you're outside of the US and you're not buying a home in Florida, you're probably watching the wrong video because I can't help you. Buying your first home can be a little intimidating. There's a ton of paperwork. There are contracts, there are special dates, there are inspectors and WDO inspectors. You've got appraisers, mortgage people, title companies. All this stuff has to come together into a bowl, and hopefully on closing day, it's all put together for you. If you have a plan, you can walk right through it. It is not that difficult that you can't do it. So what I'm going to do in this video is break this down into a plan of action so you can get this process done and you've got the major steps handled. Hi, my name is Mike Lavoie. I am a realtor here in the Tampa Bay area with Dalton Wade Real Estate. My wife and I work with buyers and sellers throughout the three-county area, Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas. This video is going to be a little bit long, so I'm going to break it into three parts. The first part is going to deal with some basic information, and then we'll expand on that in the other two. If this is your first time to visit our channel, please click on the subscribe button down below. And if you would hit the notification bell as well, you will be notified when the next video in this series comes out. So let's get started. One of the first things you have to do is ask yourself, am I financially stable enough to afford a house? Yeah, I know it sounds kind of stupid, but buying a home is probably the largest single purchase that anybody in the country makes. And it is also probably the largest expense you willingly get yourself into. Unlike a car, which gets paid off in 3 or 4 years, a house note can get paid off in as short as 15, but normally it's 30 years. So you're talking about a long-term commitment on just a payment back, plus you've got upkeep. So you have to ask yourself, are you financially secure? Do you have a job that is a long-term job, more than a year? Do you have money in the bank to afford the down payment and the escrow, all the upfront cost? Do you have an emergency fund? When that air conditioner breaks, guess who gets to buy it? It's not the landlord. You get to run out and pay for it. And air conditioners are not cheap. All that stuff adds up, so you gotta kind of ask yourself, can I do it? And there's a lot of different ways to do it. You talk to a financial advisor, a good CFP, certified financial planner, will be able to come up with a roundabout number. But before you start looking on Zillow, before you start talking to your friends and relatives how you're buying a new house, get pre-approved. You have to be pre-approved for a mortgage first. That's the number one thing you want to get started on. It's the number one thing that's going to take the longest. Pre-approval differs from pre-qualification in that pre-qualification is nothing more than you getting on a computer on some company's website, putting in your information, and they come up with a PDF document that you can look at, and it's really nice, but it doesn't mean anything. A pre-approval means that you sent financial information, W-2s, 1040s, 1099s, your living expenses, your income, like like alimony, if it's applicable. They're going to pull a hard credit report on you and get your financial information, and they're going to come up with a number and a letter to you that says that you are pre-qualified for a $200,000 house and you've got 18 months to buy it, whatever the number is. That is a pre-approval. That's what you're looking for. So tip number one, get pre-approved. Take time to do the process, take time to get it done. You're gonna need it, and I'll explain later why. There are several factors that will determine how much money the bank will actually loan you to borrow. The biggest one is a credit score. 640 is kind of the minimum that you want to shoot for to get decent rates. Lower than that, which, some banks will do 620, you can go to low as 580. The problem with those lower credit or, FICO scores is that you're going to pay a higher interest rate for the loan. So 640 is really where you want to be. If you don't know where you are, there are websites out there like truecredit.com, karmacredit.com that can give you an idea of where you stand on your FICO. Most of those are free, so look for the free ones. If you don't know how to increase or improve your credit score, talk to a mortgage lender. Most realtors, us included, know several. A lot of them have programs specifically for first-time home buyers. Most of them will have a program to get your credit score back to normal, or back to, not normal, but back to 640 or close to it. These mortgage lenders, they have done this before tons of people. They know how to do it. They know what works. So talk to them and explain the situation. They will help you get through it. If you would like to get some help online, there's a site called myfico.com, which I think myfico.org. I'll look it up and post it right down here below. They will help you with some ideas on how to improve your credit score online or with their service. Okay, so now why do you want to get pre-approved? Well, number one, it tells you how much money you can afford, and principal and interest. That will tell you how much your total loan can be. And let's say you're approved for $200,000. Now you go out and you start looking at houses that are at $200,000 and below. If you go out and start looking at $400,000 houses, you're wasting your time. You can't afford it, your bank's not going to loan it to you, so you know exactly what you're looking for, houses at $200,000. It also will give you an idea of what neighborhood you want to go look at. The average price in the neighborhood is at $250, that's you. If the average price in the neighborhood is $350, don't go look because you're wasting your time. Number two, when you make that offer, you find this house, you love it, it fits your profile perfectly, so you want to submit an offer. So you go to your realtor and you say, okay, Mr. Realtor, Mrs. Realtor, I want to make an offer. Part of that offer is going to include a proof of funds. That letter you got from the bank saying you're pre-approved for $200,000. Most sellers in today's market are going to require proof of funds before they'll accept that offer. If they accept that offer, either way, they have to take their house off the market, sometimes for 45 days. Sellers don't want to take a house off the market and miss other offers if the offer you're sending to them is not good enough and does not include the pre-approval letter. So they're going to wait for an offer with a pre-approval before they take one without. Emergency funds. Owning a house is not cheap. Obviously it is completely different than renting a house. Renting a house, when something breaks, you call the landlord. When you own the house, something breaks, you call your bank. You need to have emergency funds set aside. Now, I don't mean you need to have $50,000 before you start looking, but $4,000 or $5,000 to get started would help. And these emergency funds, are separate from your closing costs and your down payment and the money it takes to get into the house. An emergency fund is going to be for purchases that you need to make after you buy the house. Somebody's got to mow the yard. Lawnmowers are not cheap. You're going to have to buy a lawnmower. You're not going to have enough furniture to fill the whole house. So over a period of time, you're going to want to buy furniture. That's what this fund is for. It needs to be a savings account, cash that you can get to fund these expenses you're going to have after you buy the house. Tip number 2, how much cash are you going to have to actually buy the house? There are several costs in here. Number 1 is down payment. Most people are going to be looking at 3.5% as their down payment amount. Why do we use 3.5%? That's what the FHA loan amounts are. The minimum you can borrow from FHA includes a 3.5% down payment, 3.5% purchase price of the house. The problem with FHA is that also you're going to have to buy what's known as PMI insurance or mortgage protection insurance. It's going to be stuck in part of the program that you're getting into and will calculate and will figure into your payment. On the other side of the coin is a conventional loan. Conventional loans do not have PMI, but they usually require 20% down. Most first-time home buyers are going to be looking at the FHA with a 3.5% down payment. Number 2 cost in there is going to be closing costs. Closing costs include a number of things. Taxes. In the state of Florida, we have dock taxes, and there's 2 different kinds of dock taxes. You have to pay for an attorney or a closing person to actually sit there and cross the I's and dot the T's. You have to pay for title insurance, and title insurance you're going to want. The title company is going to go back X number of years, and they're going to verify the ownership of that home until the current owner. We want to make sure that the current owner has the legal right to sell that house. That's what the title company does. 5 years from now, when you're sitting on the patio by the pool watching the world go by, you get a letter that says, hey, that guy did not actually own that property and can't sell that property. I'm the correct owner. I want my property back. The title insurance will make that problem go away. You want to have title insurance. It is a one-time premium calculated into the cost of the house as part of the closing cost. And most mortgage companies are going to want you to get a title insurance before they'll even let the title go through or the mortgage go through. The closing costs also include insurance. The mortgage company is going to want you to have 14 months worth of insurance and 14 months worth of property taxes in escrow before they'll do the deal. So you have to plan on that. So what you're looking at for closing costs, if you take an average, they're going to be between 3 and 4% of the purchase price of the house. Some of those numbers are variable, some of them are fixed, but plan on 3 to 4% of the purchase price of the house for closing costs. Part of the negotiation between the buyer, you, and the seller is the closing cost. You can always ask that seller to pay for some, if not all, of the closing costs that you're going to incur. They don't have to do it. It's optional, up to them. Not everybody will. There's no downside to asking. You should, the realtor, I'm sure, would talk to you about it as part of the program. And if you make the offer financially advantageous to the seller, you might have a chance of getting some of your closing costs paid for. There are ways to buy a house with 0 down at signing. With those ways is if you're a veteran. The VA has a program where you can buy almost unlimited amount of house now with 0 down payment. You have to be a veteran, actively military, there's some qualifications, and the home has some qualifications as to how well it's done. I mean, how well the house is maintained. It can't be a fixer-upper. Another 0% down payment program is the USDA. USDA loans are primarily for rural properties, farms, stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that a particular house, like in Hillsborough County, can't qualify for USDA financing. You have to check with the lender, let them know what the property is. They can tell you whether it's USDA qualified or not. And in Florida, in Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas, the counties have a program. It's a first-time home buyers assistance program where you can get up to $15,000 as a grant. You need to check into that with your lender and find out if they can do that and how much it's going to cost you and how much you can get. It varies with the county and it varies with the time of the year. So check with the lender and see what you can get locked in. When you're talking to your mortgage company, and you need to shop around, if you have a bank that you use, fine, go talk to them, but talk to other mortgage lenders and see what their charges are going to be, because each one of those lenders have their own fees included in there that you get to pay for. So you want to bring those fees down as low as possible, obviously, because you're borrowing the money. Why should you pay them any more than you have to? So shop around. Okay, so tip number 3, hire a realtor. Most first-time home buyers don't know that the buyer's agent, your realtor, is paid for by the seller. So that buyer's agent's services to you are free. Why would you not hire somebody? You're going into what would probably be the largest single purchase that you're going to make in your lifetime. You're going to be dealing with loan officers, title companies, appraisers, inspectors, a whole litany of people. There must be 7 or 8 different people you're going to have to coordinate this with. You're going to have to read and understand that contract. You're going to have to read and understand the dates in that contract and how they affect your money. Going into it by yourself the first time ever, forever actually, is foolish. Hire a realtor. Now, just because you don't pay does not mean that you don't get to pick that realtor. You need to interview 3 or 4 realtors. Find out if you like them. Talk to them. See if you can get along with them. You're going to spend 3 months minimum talking to this person. It'd be nice if you liked them. I don't mean you have to be buddies, but you've got to be able to communicate with them. Ask them questions. How many people do you service at one time? If they're to come up with a number like 15, there's no way in the world somebody can handle 15 people at a time. So they're probably farming out that paperwork to a assistant. Now, as first-time home buyer, as the 10th home-time buyer, if you're paying that realtor, if their realtor is getting a fee, would you want to talk to that realtor about your house, or would you want to talk to one of the assistants about that house? Just saying. How many people do you help in a year? If they come up with a number like 80, or some ridiculous number, anything much over 20, you have to ask them, well, geez, how much time does each person get to spend with you? Like 10 seconds? You need to ask them about testimonials. Can I contact some of your previous clients? Now, I agree. Asking for a testimonial is kind of like letting the fox guard the hens. He's only going to give you the best testimonials he's got. But that's okay. At least you get a feel for how he works. Hopefully, he does that with everybody. What you really want to think hard about is hiring your great aunt's stepdaughter's mother's sister, brother, because they got their license last Thursday and they need to get started on this process and make some money. They're just trying to get into it. So they know nothing about the contract and you know nothing about the contract. You don't know what inspection dates are. They've never dealt with inspection dates. So you got the blind leading the blind. Why would you do that? Most people wouldn't. I agree that, that person needs to get started from somewhere. But do you want to get started on your first one? I wouldn't want to do it on my 10th one. I would want somebody that's actually done it before, that has the experience, that has been in there, that has done multi-million-dollar, multi-$100,000 deals as part of their work history. So there you go. The end of episode number 1. I hope you got some information out of it. I hope you were entertained a little bit. If you have any questions, jot them down in the comment section below. I will get back to it as soon as I can. If you want some information, I have put some links down below to mortgage companies that I've used, to first-time home buyer programs, down payment programs. There's a couple of information links you can get down there. I don't get any kind of rebate or any kind of deals from these guys. I just have used them before. You can use them if you want to. Don't. It doesn't matter to me. Again, if this is your first time here, please click the subscribe button. And if you would like to be notified when our next series comes out, next episode in this series comes out, click on the notification bell. And if you actually like the video, click on the like button down below. That helps us with our SEO from what I've been told. Again, my name is Mike Lavoie. It was great to talk to you.